Under the bright lights of the octagon, Nassourdine Imavov delivered a moment that will be talked about for years. Facing off against the former champion Israel Adesanya, Imavov knew he had a massive... Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Challenge ahead. Early on, Adesanya's legendary takedown defense was on full display, effortlessly stuffing Imavov's attempts and dictating the pace of the fight. But fights are not won in a single moment. They evolve, shift, and turn in ways no one can predict. And in the second round, everything changed. Imavov, patient and precise, saw his opening and unleashed a thunderous overhand right. The shot landed flush, sending Adesanya crashing to the canvas. The crowd erupted, and before anyone could fully process what had just happened, referee Mark Goddard stepped in, waving off the fight. Imavov had just secured the biggest win of his career, but not everyone agreed with the stoppage. As soon as the fight ended, controversy erupted. Adesanya, still dazed but aware, immediately protested the stoppage, insisting he was still in the fight. The MMA community was split down the middle. Some fans and analysts defended Goddard's decision, arguing that fighter safety comes first, while others believed Adesanya, known for his durability and insane ability to recover, should have been given more time. Social media lit up with heated debates, and one of the loudest voices in the discussion was none other than Joe Rogan. Rogan didn't hold back, calling the stoppage terrible and pointing out Adesanya's history of pulling off miraculous comebacks. He argued that a fighter of Adesanya's caliber, someone who has battled through adversity time and time again, deserved the chance to fight through the moment, especially when a single strike was the deciding factor. In his eyes, this wasn't just about one fight, it was about the integrity of the sport itself. Adesanya, understandably, was devastated, not just for himself, but for his team, his fans, and everyone who had believed in him. He had come in prepared, confident, and ready to reclaim his place at the top, only to have it all slip away in an instant. Looking back, he admitted that perhaps he had made a critical mistake. He had sensed that Imavov was tiring and had chosen to push the pace instead of slowing things down. It was a calculated risk that, in hindsight, may have backfired. Despite the loss, Adesanya showed the heart of a warrior, giving credit where it was due. He acknowledged Imavov's skill and timing, recognizing that defeating a former champion is no small feat, but at the same time, he couldn't ignore the sting of the moment, the frustration of losing a fight in such a controversial fashion, because in this sport, the margins between victory and defeat are razor thin. One mistake, one punch, one decision, that's all it takes. For Imavov, this was the biggest win of his career. For Adesanya, it was a harsh reminder of the unforgiving nature of the fight game. One night, you're on top of the world. The next, you're left questioning everything. And that, more than anything, is why we love this sport, because anything can happen. The long-awaited showdown between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall has been a hot topic in the MMA world, and now Dana White has finally broken his silence on where things stand. With the UFC matchmakers working tirelessly in the early months of the year, one of their top priorities remains booking this blockbuster heavyweight title clash. Initially, Jones seemed hesitant about facing Aspinall, but his stance has since shifted. The reigning champion is now engaged in active discussions with the UFC for at least one more fight. However, with Jones previously hinting at retirement in the lead-up to UFC 309, there's still uncertainty about what his next move will be. Despite weeks of speculation, the status of Jones versus Aspinall remains in limbo. In a recent interview, Dana White shed some light on the situation, making it clear that the UFC is determined to make the fight happen. There's no situation. It's the biggest fight that we can make. I know the fans like to mess with Jon or whatever, but Jon Jones isn't afraid of anybody, and he will fight anybody. It's just a matter of getting the fight done, White said. He emphasized that it's the UFC's job to finalize the bout, but if things don't work out, they'll move on and book another fight. White revealed that just the night before, he and his team were up until 6 in the morning, working on multiple things behind the scenes, hinting that big developments are on the horizon. However, one thing is clear: if a deal isn't reached soon, the UFC could be forced to strip Jones of the belt. White acknowledged that this is a real possibility if negotiations with Aspinall don't materialize into a signed contract in the coming months. Meanwhile, speculation about Jones demanding a $30 million payday for the fight has been making the rounds, fueled by Joe Rogan's claims that he heard whispers about these financial demands. White, however, has dismissed these rumors, making it clear that they are not the reason for any delays. After UFC 309, he confidently stated that Jones versus Aspinall will happen, reinforcing that the organization is actively working to get the fight locked in. For his part, Jones has remained relatively quiet since his last fight, but in one of his rare interviews, he hinted that discussions are moving in a positive direction. While nothing is set in stone yet, all signs point toward a massive heavyweight collision in the making. Fans are left waiting for the official word, but one thing is certain: if this fight gets booked, it will be one of the biggest matchups in UFC history. Will Jones return to defend his throne, or will Aspinall get his long-awaited shot at undisputed glory? The answer may be coming sooner than we think. Fresh off his knockout victory over Israel Adesanya, Nassourdine Imavov found himself facing questions about a potential showdown with Khamzat Chimaev. In a recent Russian interview, Imavov made it clear that he has little interest in fighting Chimaev, unless of course a championship belt is on the line. He reflected on their past training sessions, where Chimaev's relentless grappling constantly put him on the defensive, forcing him to spend much of his time on his back. Acknowledging Chimaev's toughness, Imavov admitted that their familiarity with each other makes the fight less appealing unless the stakes are at their highest. Instead, Imavov has his sights set on a different challenge. Sean Strickland, the outspoken former champion, already holds a win over him, and Imavov believes it's time to settle the score. He didn't hold back, calling out Strickland for talking too much and making it clear that a rematch is something he wants. Given their history and Strickland's brash personality, a second fight between them could be explosive, especially now that Imavov has taken out a former champion. He confidently stated that fans would see a completely different version of himself in the rematch, emphasizing that when they fought 2 years ago, he had just moved up to middleweight from 170 pounds and wasn't fully adjusted yet. With Strickland set to challenge Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight title at UFC 312 next week, the division is wide open. Imavov's comments suggest that while a fight with Chimaev isn't off the table, it would take a championship belt to make it happen. Meanwhile, Chimaev's name remains firmly in the title conversation, leaving fans to wonder what's next. Could we see an eventual collision between Chimaev and Imavov? And how will the division shake out after DDP defends his title against Strickland? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. If you're as intrigued by this potential clash as we are, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breaking MMA news and updates. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss what's next.